It was a blistering summer afternoon when 9-year-old Emily Parker stumbled upon the old garage sale at the end of Willow Lane. Among rusted tools and faded clothes sat a small wooden crate, lined with yellowed lace. Inside lay a doll unlike any Emily had ever seen. The doll was 12 inches tall, with pale porcelain skin, waist-length black hair in loose curls, and a Victorian-style midnight blue velvet dress trimmed with black lace. Its round glass eyes glistened green, and its mouth was stitched into a delicate smile with black thread. Its tiny leather shoes were cracked with age. Emily felt drawn to it. The old woman running the sale noticed and said softly, "That doll keeps secrets." Emily, curious, handed over her allowance and walked home with it in her arms. That night, Emily placed the doll on a shelf across from her bed. The moonlight streamed through the window, illuminating its sweet, stitched smile. But at midnight, a soft rustling stirred her awake. Emily's eyes widened. The doll's mouth was no longer stitched shut. The black threads hung loose like cut strings. Its lips were parted, whispering. The whisper wasn't in English. It was an ancient, lilting chant, rhythmic and haunting. Emily could swear she saw its lips move. Frozen in bed, she watched as the doll slowly turned its head toward her, the smile now looking stretched, sinister. The next day, Emily's mother noticed something strange. "Emily, did the doll always have something on the back of its head?" Emily turned the doll around. There was another face beneath the hair, a second porcelain face, expressionless, its lips sewn shut with red thread. Its eyes were hollow black pits. Emily hadn't seen it before. That night, the doll sat facing backward on the shelf. But as the clock struck midnight, the second face's lips slowly unstitched themselves, red threads unraveling one by one. Then came a low, guttural whisper. A different language, deeper, more threatening. Emily felt a cold breath against her cheek, even though the doll hadn't moved. Emily began having nightmares. In her dreams, the doll was life-sized, standing at the foot of her bed, its front face grinning, its back face screaming silently. In her mind, she saw strange symbols, heard whispers of old gods, and watched the doll walk backward into darkness, the second face mouthing words that shook her bones. Every morning she found the doll closer to her bed, even though she swore she hadn't moved it. On the 7th night, the doll whispered a clear word in English. "Open." Emily felt compelled. At dawn, she took a seam ripper and gently cut open the fabric seam at the doll's side. Inside, she found a folded piece of yellow parchment covered in ancient symbols, and a lock of human hair. Suddenly, a chill swept the room. The doll's second face grinned, now alive, its hollow eyes gleaming red. The front face whispered again, "Thank you." And for the first time, both faces smiled. From that day forward, Emily was never quite the same. Sometimes, at night, her mother could hear two voices whispering from her room. One was Emily's. The other was something else. Years later, the Parker house stood abandoned. Yet neighbors still whispered that on some nights, if you stood near the window, you could hear the sound of a doll softly chanting in an ancient tongue, and see a flicker of green and red lights dancing across the walls. And if you listened long enough, the doll might whisper your name. 3 weeks after Emily disappeared, a man named Mr. Calder, known locally as a collector of rare and occult objects, purchased the Parker house at auction. In the attic, beneath a loose floorboard, he found the doll, sitting upright, its front face smiling sweetly, its back face stitched shut once more with fresh red thread. He carried it carefully to his study, placing it in a glass display case among strange artifacts, ritual knives, and preserved bones. That night, as the clock struck midnight, he heard a soft tapping from inside the case. When he approached, the back face's lips were bleeding through the red thread. And faintly, he heard a voice say, "Emily is here." Over the following nights, Mr. Calder noticed subtle changes. Some mornings, the front face's smile widened by a fraction. the back face's stitches pulled tighter, as if resisting from within. One night, he awoke to find the glass case empty. The doll stood by the foot of his bed, facing backward, hair spilling down its back. Slowly it began to turn its head, 180 degrees, until both faces aligned, overlapping in impossible ways. Their mouths opened together in a soundless scream. Terrified, Calder sought answers in ancient texts. He discovered the doll wasn't a toy. It was a vessel, made long ago to contain two spirits, one benevolent, one malevolent. But the stitches holding the evil spirit inside were weakening. To restore balance, the doll required a sacrifice, a willing soul to seal the second face again. Calder refused. That night, the doll whispered, "Then we choose." When dawn came, Calder was gone. In the empty study, the doll sat alone in the glass case, both faces now smiling, stitched shut with black and red thread together. Decades passed. The doll was sold at a prestigious auction to a young antique dealer named Lila, who displayed it in her downtown shop. Customers were drawn to it, unsettled yet unable to look away. Every night, the doll's hair seemed to grow longer, its faces a little more expressive. Some claimed that if you watched closely, the back face would blink. And sometimes, customers left the store forgetting why they'd come, hearing faint whispers in their ears as they walked away. One stormy night, lightning struck the building, shattering the glass cabinet. When Lila arrived the next morning, the doll was gone. But in the center of the floor, where the cabinet once stood, lay two stitched porcelain masks, one smiling in black thread, the other in red. And on the wall, scrawled in ancient symbols, was a final message: two faces, one truth. Who will wear them next? Outside, footsteps faded into the rain. The porcelain masks were acquired by an anonymous bidder, but rumors spread. Those who touched them felt whispers crawling into their minds, like silk threads winding around their thoughts. 1 week later, a local artist named Mira unveiled a disturbing installation in her gallery. A mannequin wearing both masks. Front mask smiling in black thread stitches, back mask grinning in red thread stitches, both embedded into a cracked porcelain head. The crowd stood transfixed. Some swore they saw the mannequin's chest rise and fall as if breathing. Others heard faint whispers stitched between the smiles. At midnight, the gallery's lights flickered. By dawn, the mannequin stood alone. Mira was missing. In her place, only a single black hair coiled at the mannequin's feet. Security footage later revealed the impossible. At precisely 3:03 a.m., the mannequin turned its head, first forward, then backward, until both faces aligned, overlapping. Then, it stepped down from the pedestal, walking stiffly toward the exit. The cameras glitched violently as the mannequin paused at the gallery door, both faces staring into the lens, green and hollow black eyes glimmering together. Then it vanished into static. Months later, Mr. Calder was found wandering a deserted highway, muttering, "The faces are merging. The vessel is almost whole. They'll walk backward into the world." Before collapsing, he whispered one final warning. "Don't let it face both ways. Never. Both ways." In the hospital, nurses swore his reflection in the mirror sometimes smiled when his mouth did not. The mannequin resurfaced in a decrepit theater downtown, discovered by a homeless man seeking shelter. Inside, the stage was set. Ancient marionette strings hung from the ceiling, wrapped around the mannequin's limbs, its porcelain faces gleaming under a single spotlight. As he approached, the strings twitched. Then, the mannequin raised its arms on its own, both faces smiling wider, lips splitting faintly at the corners. Slowly, it began to pull its own strings, controlling itself. The next morning, police entered the theater. They found only the mannequin, slumped center stage. But its head now bore a third face, freshly formed beneath the curls, its features eerily resembling Mira's. Its lips were stitched shut with silver thread. Its glass eyes glistened a deep violet, and carved into the floor beneath the mannequin's feet were 5 words. One face left to make. The lights in the theater flickered once, then went dark.